Hey Raiders family, it's Berkey and welcome. A big welcome to the big top 10 preview for the Sharks semi tomorrow. I'm excited already about the game. Not so much that I'm confident of winning, but just that excitement that a semi-final brings, particularly at home at the mighty GIO Stadium. And I'm certainly not getting carried away or overconfident. Semis are a different beast to what we saw last week, and what we saw in the previous 19 rounds of that. So as everyone says, it's a new season. I think it's going to be a tight game, nowhere near liberal and as high scoring as last week. So we just got to make sure that we're on our game. But I'll get to our game plan shortly. But look, last week obviously was a game that probably Ricky didn't watch at all, or neither did John Morris. It was quite irrelevant. Great for our young guys, like superb experience for our young guys to come up against a number of internationals in that Sharks pack. Woods, Fafita, Graham. So our boys handled themselves quite beautifully and adequately, and the future looks great for Canberra, that's for sure, with some of these young kids coming through. But look, let's dive into the Sharks. They've made a number of changes, quite some important ones for their own cohesion and mobility and areas to control the game. So Chad Townsend's obviously the big one. Sean Johnson is a massive out for the Sharks, without a doubt. And Townsend's probably going to be their go-to man, both sides of the ruck, in my opinion, to try and guide them around the field to a win. Is he up to it? Can he control both sides of the ruck for 80 minutes? Kicking game, organising, all those sorts of things that are critical for the Sharks for him to do. He hasn't played for 5 weeks. His legs may not be there either if we play a really up-tempo game. So we've really got to work Townsend over. Got to put a lot of pressure on him when he's got the ball, take away his time management, his time with the ball. And when we're in attack, really try and work him over in defence with repeat tackles. We've got to try and tire him out, particularly having had 4 or 5 weeks off. But he's going to be their main go-to. He's going to be their main kicker. So really, I think everything's going to revolve around him. Now, if Townsend is getting a little bit of momentum, that's where the next guy, number 2, Wade Graham, will come into his own. Now, Graham will play left edge. I think he usually plays left edge, which is our right. So he's going to be up against George, John, Rapana, and Nick Kotrick. So we just got to make sure that, once again, Graham is a very good hole runner, very good in defence. So they're going to work yin and yang quite well, Townsend, particularly if they get some momentum inside our half and inside our 30-metre line. You'll find the Sharks will probably play to Wade's Graham edge a lot more. Being a left footer, Graham does a lot of rubber kicks into the corners as well on the 5th tackle. So we really got to be awake and aware of, if Graham's going to the line, the likes of Dugan or Ramian or Kennedy will be right up on his hip if a kick's going to happen. So we really got to be on our mettle. Have our cover come in across in George Williams, in Shans, and make sure we don't give Graham any space to operate. So he's going to be an important player for them as well. Andrew Fafita is number 3. Fafita is way past his best. You could see last week he was carrying an injury, but he's got some mistakes in him. That's going to be a benefit to us. You saw last week some of the flick pass he was doing. He wasn't very mobile in attack. He was just basically taking the tackle, going to ground, but try and get some miracle offloads in his play. So if we can nullify him off the bench, he's trying to be an impact player. 5 or 10 minutes, he could be on 5, but we just got to, once again, work him over, move him around, inside balls for Fafita. With his bad knee, does not move very good laterally. So if we're going to the left and you turn someone inside, he doesn't move back that way, nowhere near as well as what he's used to. So he's going to be cumbersome, but he does have errors in him. And in semi-finals particularly, that's what we're hoping. That's what we need to sweat on with Andrew Fafita, that he has a bad day with his attitude and his overzealous play and his selfishness to give away stupid penalties. The Sharks' game plan at number 4 is going to be pretty simple. It's something Ricky said 4 years ago in a corresponding semi-final, which we lost. They want to play like an octagon type of game, a WWE, a UFC, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be their game plan. They want to get up in our face. They want to be grungy. They want to lay all over the rucks, make them sloppy, push us, get us on the ground any way they can with 3 or 4. They'll probably want to fine touch a fair bit also. I think they'll want to slow our game plan right down. Particularly, it's going to be fairly hot tomorrow, 25, 26 degrees in Canberra. It's going to be a dry, fast track, and that's what they don't want. So they're going to be looking for the touchline to really try and get us out of our momentum and the way we like to play our game, which we can't afford to lower ourselves to. So that's going to be the Sharks game plan, a real spoiling type of game, up in our face, not give us any breathing space to get any cohesion or momentum. That's where I think they think that they can win. Let's come to us. Number 5, speed, speed, and more speed. I think that's going to be our strength tomorrow. Looking through our lineup, we've got speed all over the park. The Cronulla pack with Hamlin Ueli, Aaron Woods, Wade Graham, Toby Rudolph off the bench, Sorensen, Talaki for feeder. They're big men. They don't move as well as our nimble pack of Sia, Hudson Young when he comes on, Harawira Naira, Tarpany, Whitehead, Bateman, Papali, Starling. We've got nimble, well-adjusted, well-balanced forwards. That's going to be our strength. Speed, speed, and more speed. Cronulla do not want a fast, open, free-flowing game. They'll know they'll get burnt and get burnt pretty badly. But that's where we've got to rise our level and make the Sharks follow us, not come down to their level and get in a gunslinging match or an arm wrestle with a sloppy game. Number 6, Havili or Starling to start. I just don't know which way we go here. My feeling tomorrow is I think we start Havili. I really think Ricky should maybe turn it on its head a little bit. Start Havili off the bench. I mean, Cronulla are going to be very physical in that first 10, 15 minutes with that pack. Hamlin, Ueli, Woods, Nakora, Graham, Rudolph. They're really going to try and be intimidating. I think Havili can really absorb that early intensity a lot better than Tom. Semi-final football in the first 10 to 15 minutes is usually 3 or 4 rucks down the middle or just on the edge. So I think the likes of Havili will really make more of an impact than bringing Tommy on. I think when Fafita comes on and the Sharks make their first lot of interchanges is when I'd be bringing Tom Starling on tomorrow. I think after last week, the Sharks had Starling start. They might be a little bit aware of the way he plays. But I'd be, as I said, if we can get Tom on when the Sharks bring on their bench players, I think it might work far better than starting Tom tomorrow. It's a toss of a coin. I know people are going to hound me down, but I'm just thinking that that initial intensity of a semi might be better for Havili to start over Tommy. Number 7, I've gone for Papa and Tarpany. I just think these two guys will lead our forward pack tomorrow, particularly if we can get some offloads. If we can get some second phase play happening around that ruck area, especially when Tom comes on, I think we can really open this game up quite quickly with those offloads. And Papa and Tarpany are the best 2 exponents, I think, in our pack, particularly going down those middle corridors to get some offloads. They've been both in fantastic form. I think they'll both love having the week off. They've refreshed it. Remembering most of the Sharks forward pack actually played last week. Hamlin Ueli did, Brayley did, Woods did, Nakora did, Wade Graham. They all played last week. They haven't had a break for 20 weeks, some of these guys. Yes, some were suspended, some were injured, but they played last week. They've now got to back up against a monumental Raiders pack that are fresh, ready to fire at home. But I think Tarpany and Papa are 2 massive linchpins for us to get that go forward and particularly get some offloads. Jack and George at number 8, I think, can feed beautifully off there. We've got to use our speed. Jack and George just have to go in behind the play of the ball, straighten the game up. If we play straight and direct against the Sharks, they won't be able to control our momentum and our sleight of foot and our speed of hands and our communication and the way we play with each other. We just have far more cohesion with our attack than what the Sharks do. So I really want to see Jack and George play a hell of a lot straight, hell of a lot square, bring second phase ball in with Bateman, Sharns floating around, the likes of Hudson Young when he comes on. I think his footwork close to the line, Harawira Naira as well, can really open it up in that second part of the first half, and that last 15 minutes of the second half as well. The Bateman factor, number 9, is huge for me. We know he's going home, but he's the sort of guy that's a real X factor in our side when we need a lift. We're going to have a lull. Every side has a lull in any game, no matter what game it is, whether it's a 5-minute lull, a 15-minute lull, a 20-minute lull. We can't afford to have long lulls, but Bateman's a sort of guy that can really lift us with a run or a tackle. I particularly like the way that he jinks across field, particularly against the Sharks pack, who, as I said, don't move well laterally. Bateman takes an inside ball from George and he crabs across to the markers and straightens down the middle. I think those types of runs are very effective against the Sharks, who do not move well across the field laterally. They do leave gaps around that ruck area, which I think someone like Bateman can utilise. Bateman's a winner. He doesn't want to go home or lose it tomorrow. He's got big fish to fry in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And I think he's going to be a guy that can really be an X factor for us when we need a lift. Number 10, how we win and if we lose, which I don't think we will. The way we'll lose, we won't lose. Cronulla won't win the game. We will lose the game. There's a big difference. So Cronulla don't have the personnel, in my opinion, to actually win the game. They're going to be relying on our errors or stupidity or lack of discipline or lack of passion or composure where they will win it. Those things I just mentioned is how we will win it. The 1%ers being far more superior in our line speed, in our ruck work, harder in defence, chase harder from kick, all those real little, that's the old saying, the 1%ers in these games are more like 5 or 10%ers. That's how much they mean to a side. So how we will win, as I said at the start, speed, 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 minimal errors, kick to the corners, force the Sharks to come out 85, 90, 95 metres each set of 6 tackles, and we'll get over the line. So it's a very simple game plan. It should be very vanilla, and we don't deviate from what's worked for us the last 20 weeks, guys. So look, guys, that's it for my top 10. I cannot wait for tomorrow. It's great to have finals back, particularly at home the first week. It's a danger game, as always. Cronulla soured our party 4 years ago in the corresponding match as well, which is something we don't want to happen. But I think we've got a far more mature side, particularly from last year. And I'm looking forward, hopefully, or most definitely, to a win. So Raiders fans, thanks so much for your support. Hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, our YouTube page if you've got any queries, quotes, or just having a general chat. Looking forward to tomorrow's game. Sleep well tonight, guys, and can't wait for the big Viking clap tomorrow. And as always, this is Bourkeys. Bleed green, out.